What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to another video. So week 1 is now in the books for the NFL, and now it's time for my week 2 predictions as well as my week 1 reactions. So let's get started. First off, we've got the Washington football team playing against the New York Giants in Washington. Washington suffered a setback with an injury to Ryan Fitzpatrick in week 1, but their defense did look good. The Giants didn't really show me much that I was impressed with in that first game of the week. So I'm going to take Washington to beat the Giants, even though they have some problems at quarterback. I think that defense is going to hold tough. Next up, we've got the Rams and the Colts in Indianapolis. My Rams looked really, really good in week 1, guys. Matt Stafford was as good as advertised. I was thoroughly impressed. He was dropping bombs in the first game. Fun fact, he had as many deep ball passes as Jared Goff did the entire year last year. So that was really exciting to see. I think that he's going to keep the momentum rolling. Indianapolis, I think they're going to bounce back a little bit from last week losing to the Seahawks, but I do think that that the Rams are still going to be able to pull it out. I just don't see the Colts being able to handle this offensive firepower that the Rams have. Next up, we've got the Bears and the Bengals in Chicago. So the Bears defense, guys especially like Khalil Mack, I think they're going to be able to break through that offensive line and really get to Joe Burrow. Now, speaking of Joe Burrow, he really did impress me in week 1, and he led his team to a win in overtime, and I was very, very impressed by that. But I still think that I need to give respect to that Bears defense, and I do think they're going to be able to give him some trouble. So I'm going to choose the Bears to win at home against the Bengals. Next up, we've got the Browns and the Texans in Cleveland. Now, Browns fans, do not trip about last week. I know that it was really frustrating to have the Chiefs come back on you guys, but it's the Kansas City Chiefs. It's Patrick Mahomes. It's Andy Reid. Like, come on. Like, there's no shame in losing to, two-time AFC champions. So, I really think the Browns are going to bounce back. I think they're going to have a strong victory at home with the dog pound behind them. I just don't see the Texans winning very many games after this. Yes, I was already wrong with them going winless this year, but the Jaguars won in week 1 last year and then proceeded to lose the rest of their games all season long. So I don't see the Texans winning very many more games this year. So I got the Browns beating them pretty easily. Next up, we've got the Bills and the Dolphins in Miami. Now, this is going to be tough to pick because last week I had the Dolphins winning, and then I switched it to have the Patriots winning because I thought Bill Belichick was going to be able to stop that Miami offense, which he kind of did, but Dolphins, again, like I said, always play the Patriots tough, so I went back on my pick and I was wrong. So it's hard to pick this one this week because I was also wrong about the Bills. But I do think the Bills are going to bounce back, and I do think that they're going to have a rebound win. But I wouldn't be surprised if, Miami plays them tough and ends up eking out another win. So this one's really hard to call, but I'm going to choose the Bills to beat Miami in this one. Next up, we've got the Patriots and the Jets in New York. Now, the Patriots always seem to play the Jets tough. They always seem to have their number, especially in more recent years. I really just don't see the Patriots losing this one. Again, I know that I was wrong to say this last time, but I'm still going to stick with the fact that Bill Belichick has a good record against young quarterbacks, and Zach Wilson I don't think is going to be able to handle what the Patriots are going to dish out to him. So I'm going to take the Patriots in this one. Next up, we've got the Niners and the Eagles in Philadelphia. Now, this I feel like is another tough game to call because Philadelphia really impressed me in week 1. I was thoroughly impressed with what they did to the Falcons. I don't think I gave them enough credit, but then again, it could have been a flash in the pan. I'm not entirely sure what to make of them. And as far as the Niners go, Niners did what I expected them to do in Detroit, but Detroit made a little bit of a comeback and all that stuff, and I'm not buying it. I think the Niners just took the foot off the gas and they just kind of let them crawl back into that game because they knew they could because they were up like 28 points on them. So I think I got the Niners winning this game. I still think that, the NFC West has a lot of firepower, and I just don't see the Eagles being able to handle them, but I could be wrong. The Eagles fans give their team a huge home field advantage. We'll see if the Niners can handle it. Next up, we've got the Steelers and the Raiders in Pittsburgh. All right, Steelers fans, I was wrong. I've totally overlooked that Steelers defense. TJ Watt, I should say, his little brother TJ. Man, I completely overlooked that. So that was 100% my fault. And the Raiders, for that matter, I overlooked them a little bit too. I might not have given Derek Carr enough credit. However, in Pittsburgh, after a short week, because they were on Monday Night Football, I do think the Steelers are going to be able to handle the Raiders. Anytime a team goes from the west to the east, warm weather to cold weather, I think it's a little bit tough. So I'm going to take the Steelers in this one. All right, Saints and Panthers in Carolina this week. Well, the Saints, talk about a surprise. The Saints really surprised me in week 1. I was shocked at how good they did, and I'll get to that a little bit more later. But I think the Saints are going to take down the Panthers in Carolina. Carolina did impress me in week 1, but I don't think that they're going to be able to handle what the Saints are dishing out. So I got the Saints winning on the road in Carolina. Let's see. We've got the Broncos and Jaguars in Jacksonville. Now, the Broncos are another team that really surprised me. I knew that their defense was going to be pretty good, but I wasn't expecting their offense to be that good. But Teddy Bridgewater is a competent quarterback. The problem is consistency. We're going to have to see if he's going to be able to hold this up for the rest of the year. But I've got the Broncos beating the Jaguars in Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence did show flashes of why he was the number 1 overall pick. He had 3 touchdowns and he had over 300 yards, but he did have 3 interceptions as well. And he suffered, you guys, fun fact, he suffered his first regular season loss. And man, I don't even know how long, because he was undefeated in high school. He was undefeated in college in the regular season. Okay, regular season, guys. And this is the first time he's lost in the regular season in quite some time. Will be interesting to see how he bounces back from that. This isn't college anymore. You're not going to get a cupcake team in week 1 that you're going to blow out 56-0. Like, this is the NFL. You're going to have to bring it every single week. And so this is going to be a rude awakening for Urban Meyer, Trevor Lawrence, and the rest of that franchise. But I don't think they're going to get their first win yet. Next up, we've got the Cardinals and the Vikings in Arizona. I got the Cardinals winning this one. I was not impressed with what the Vikings showed me in week 1. And while they could have a bounce-back week, I just don't see it. The Cardinals are dynamic. DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray, man, and the rest of that offense, I think they could hang a big number up on them. And I think that the Cardinals could easily be a playoff team in the AFC or maybe even in another division. But the NFC West is so tough with 4 teams that are seriously playoff contenders and a few of them being Super Bowl contenders. So I've got the Cardinals beating the Vikings in this one, and I wouldn't be surprised if they beat them pretty handily. Next up, we've got the Buccaneers and the Falcons in Tampa Bay. I think this one's going to be pretty quick and short and simple to the point. Buccaneers are going to beat them. Falcons didn't look good. Bucs didn't look that great, but they didn't look too bad. They're still defending champions, and they've got Tom Brady, of course, and that offense is ridiculous. So I think this is going to be a pretty easy choice. Next up, we've got the Chargers and the Cowboys in SoFi Stadium. So, all right. Cowboys fans, I have to admit, you guys looked pretty good in week 1 in defeat to the Buccaneers. Dak looks like he's healthier than I thought, and even if he's not healthy, he's playing at a high level despite his injury. Chargers do look good, though. I could see this game being a shootout, and I'm going to have faith in Justin Herbert. I think the Chargers are going to pull this out. I could be wrong easily about this game, but I think that the Chargers are going to be able to pull it out. But the Chargers are known for snatching defeat from the jaws of victory, so I could easily be wrong about this one. It's going to be a lot of Cowboys fans in SoFi Stadium. That's a fact. So it's going to feel like a Cowboys home game, but I think the Chargers are still going to be able to power through and get this win. But don't be surprised if I'm wrong about this one. And this is going to be a game that I'm going to be looking forward to watching. Next up, we've got the Seahawks and the Titans in Seattle. Titans really let me down in that first week, but I do think that they're going to have a chance to see if they can expose some of Seattle's run defense with King Henry, and a little bit of that secondary, with Julio Jones. But it's in Seattle, and the 12th man always gets in the way. I can't deny the fact that Seattle always has a good home field advantage. So I'm going to take the Seahawks to beat the Titans this week in Seattle. Next up, we've got the Chiefs and the Ravens in Baltimore. This could easily be an AFC Championship preview game as well, but the problem is that the Ravens are really hampered by injuries on both sides of the ball. There's only so much Lamar Jackson's going to be able to do on his own, and it doesn't help that the Chiefs, even when they were facing adversity against the Browns, they were able to rally back and end up winning that game. So I'm going to take the Chiefs to beat the Ravens. Ravens got to do something to get healthy, or maybe make some signings or trades or something, but if they're going to want to compete for a Super Bowl this year, they got to make some moves and they got to get healthy. And finally, we've got the Packers and the Lions in Green Bay. Okay. Hey, Aaron Rodgers, you know how you talked about beautiful mystery and all this other nonsense this past offseason because you were mad at the franchise? The beautiful mystery was watching you just get destroyed against the Saints last week, and I was utterly shocked at how bad the Packers looked. So I think the Packers are going to go home in front of all the cheeseheads in Lambeau Field, and I think they're going to get a pretty solid win against the Lions this week. Yes, I know the Lions looked like they were making a comeback against the Niners, but I don't buy it for a second. Again, I think that was more the Niners really letting their foot off the gas. Jared Goff doesn't play well in the cold. He has never really been that good against the Packers. So I think the Packers are going to really show that, they're still contenders in the NFC, and they're going to want to have a solid bounce-back victory in Lambeau at home in front of the Cheeseheads. So that is it for my picks this week, you guys. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. Last week I went 7-9 in my predictions, so I'm hopefully going to be able to get myself above 500 this week. And that'll be it for this week, and I will see you guys in the next video.